You! Why's my camera green? So, in honor of the brand new Resident Evil game coming out, I decided that I wanted to go back and play my personal favorite, or I'd say like second or third favorite Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 3. The remake, not the original. Because I'm actually a big Resident Evil fan, believe it or not. Let's get straight into it, man. I got nothing to say. Peace out, love you guys. I lied, actually. So for the first half of this video, there's going to be no webcam. Yeah, don't ask. Section says no.
So we started Resident Evil 3 out listening to a huge yap session by the company who ended up causing the big breakout, Umbrella. And then we end up waking up as Jill Valentine herself. And then we end up having a insane episode where she ends up offing herself. And then we wake up once again not having an episode. And then we end up going to the bathroom, turning on the light switch, turning off the water. And then we end up getting a call from my boy Brad that informs us that we need to leave our apartment, to be honest.
Hello?
Jill, are you okay?
Brad, is that you?
Listen, you gotta get out of there.
What are you talking about?
I don't have time to explain. You gotta get out of there right now.
And then 8'2" beast ends up busting through our wall and then kicking us into a wall. And for those who don't know who this absolute juggernaut of a beast is, this is the Nemesis, a creature that Umbrella made to kill all Star members. One of two of them, actually. The other one is Mr. X, but if you don't know who that is, you don't know who that is. But then we end up trying to run away from the Nemesis, and then he ends up chucking a random ass some sort of block at us. I have no idea what that is. And then we end up going into this room, locking it with a bookshelf, and going to run out of the window. And then we run into another window, thinking that we are safe, but then of course you're never safe in Resident Evil. The Nemesis ends up breaking through the ceiling. And then we end up crawling under the ceiling that he broke through, and he ends up grabbing us with a tentacle. Jill finds a piece of glass and then cuts the tentacle off of her leg. Then we end up going to escape through this exit door, but then we end up getting blown up through the exit door. Then we end up trying to attempt to leap through the fire escape, but then he ends up grabbing us through the wall by our head, throws us into the burning building, and this is where we encounter our first ever chase scene with the Nemesis. Some of the older games, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Hey, dude, you better move. What the camera angle? I fucking hate this camera angle with a genuine passion. There we go. Now that we're done with the first ever chasing against the Nemesis, we end up running into our boy Brad. Then we end up going into this building to try to get away from the zombies, but unfortunately Brad ends up getting bit, and then we have to go ahead and leave him. So then we end up leaving Brad behind, and then we end up picking this gun off this police officer's body, and then we get our first ever zombie interaction of the game. Then we get told to run and go to the top of it. Now that we've made it to the parking garage, we have to take the elevator, but of course there's two zombies inside of the elevator that I actually don't end up killing. I just end up walking because I didn't want to waste ammo. Now we made it to the top of the parking garage, but the helicopter ends up getting blown up. There we go. So then we get our second encounter with the Nemesis, and we end up getting into the car to run him over.
Come on. Start, damn it. It's
There we
my
go.
turn, bitch.
You know, I still have no idea how Jill survived landing, but I mean, I guess she didn't land on top of this fucking tank of a fucking person, or thing, not really a person. So then this is where we finally get to meet the second protagonist in Resident Evil 3, and that is our boy Carlos. There you go. Then he ends up blowing up the Nemesis and saving us from the Nemesis. Now we've made our way to the train station where everybody is at. Then we find out that Carlos works for UBCS, which is Umbrella if you didn't know that, and Jill ends up crashing out over this.
Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service. UBCS for short.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? You guys are the ones who caused all of this.
Whoa.
Then we end up making our way to the subterranean. We end up meeting the captain for UBCS, Mikhail Victor.
Carlos, you didn't even think to ask fine young lady her name? She is an elite operative of RPD, Special Tactics and Rescue Service. Her name is something Valentine.
It's Jill.
Nice to meet you, Jill. I am UBCS Platoon Leader Mikhail Victor. My team was sent here to rescue civilians.
So then we agree to help them get the subway train moving.
Yes. Well, we are doing all we can. If we can get this subway train moving, we can evacuate some survivors. But we need help. My men cannot do this alone.
All right. I'm in. But
There you
I'm on
are,
your
Jill.
side, not yours.
Oh, hey. It's cool. We all want the same thing.
Thank you, Jill.
So now we've made it above ground, and now we have to find our way to the substation to turn on the power for the subway. Which we find where we need to go, which is a big transmission tower, but the way to get there is on fire. So we end up finding a building that has the hose inside of it to extinguish the fire. So we make our way back and we extinguish the fire. We make our way into this building that has bolt cutters, but we end up going back to the building where the hose was to get this shotgun ring so we can use the bolt cutters. So we make our way back to the building where we actually had to use the bolt cutters, but then we end up finding someone that was bit by a zombie. But then he ends up getting murked by a character known as Nikolai, and his name is going to be reoccurring a lot, just to let you know. So then we end up running into the second zombie variant, which is the zombie dogs that are extremely easy to kill. They literally just take one shotgun bullet and they're dead. So now we made our way to the transmission tower that is absolutely covered in these spider kind of things, that we do end up getting a parasite from one of them by sticking a tube down our throat.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Which is excruciatingly AL. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a Resident Evil game, by the way. But now we have to find these switches to turn on the power, which there's only 4 of them, and they're actually extremely easy to get. Now we make our way back to the building to fully turn on the power and end up frying these niggas in the process.
Enjoy that.
So now we have to make our way back to where we got the hose to set out the fire in the alleyway, but then we end up encountering the man, the myth, the legend, the nemesis himself.
Are you shitting me?
I forgot this nigga screamed stars. So now that we've made it back to the building, we have to make a route for the subway to go.
Hey, I'm super cop. Consider it done.
Do it. So FA2, FA2, or FA2, RE3, SA2.
What did he say? Redstone Street to Fox Park.
FA,
What did he
RE3.
say? Redstone Street to Fox Park. What did he say? Redstone Street to Fox Park.
Valid route confirmed.
Carlos, it's me. I finished inputting the subway route.
Jill, you are amazing. Tough as nails, too. Hurry back to the station. We'll make sure the subway's ready
Get
to
delays,
depart.
Los.
Polos. So now we have to make it back to the station, but this is when I make the absolute dumbest mistake so far. And that was me running into this building that I had absolutely nowhere else to go, and unfortunately I did end up dying to this big bastard.
Or he has a double swing!
So this is when we encounter our first problem. So the whole second half of me as Jill making it back to the train station and going up against the Nemesis once again did not save in my recording. So we're unfortunately going to have to skip straight to Carlos. So now we're Carlos. We made it to the RPD police station where we actually end up running into Brad, who we seen earlier, but he's now a zombie. So then we end up going into the police station and actually end up seeing the two people that Leon see in Resident Evil 2 that got killed. So then we end up making our way to the second story of the building and end up finding out that there's this wall that we have to blow up to get to the other side of the building. But we actually end up already having a battery because we found it previously in one of the lockers.
Move.
Boom.
So then we make our way to the other side of the wall and we end up running into the thing known as the liquor that we actually do end up dying to, believe it or not. So then we make our way back, almost end up dying to the liquor once again, but I actually don't end up fully killing this thing because I didn't have enough ammo for it. And we just completely walk by and we end up going into the room that we need to go to. So now that we're in the room, we end up finding this computer that Dr. Bard is actually calling through.
Dr. Bard.
Oh, thank God. Do you know how long I've been trying to reach somebody?
Don't worry, we're gonna get you out of there. Just tell me where you are.
I'm trapped in a goddamn hospital, surrounded by every kind of abomination. Look, just send in stars. They're gonna know what to do.
No, I'm negative. RPD's overrun too.
Then figure it out!
Fuck you, nigga.
I'm killing all the researchers. I am the only one who knows how to make the vaccine to stop the zombies. So you can either sit there with your dick in your hand or send somebody who's capable of getting me the hell out of here.
So then we end up getting a call from Jill telling us that the train ended up derailing due to the Nemesis.
Was anyone hurt?
Jill?
Ah, shit. Wait, what? Jill! Jill, what happened? Jill, come in!
So then we end up turning back to Jill around several minutes earlier before she called Carlos. So then we end up seeing the Nemesis once again after he climbed through all the flames and the wreckage of the subway train. And Jill, thinking the Nemesis cannot swim, she would be proven wrong within a matter of 5 seconds. So then we have our third chase scene with the Nemesis that actually leads up into our first ever boss battle in the game.
Right? Let's do this. Suck it! Carlos,
I don't even want to talk about it.
you still there? Oh, and you're gonna crap out on me now? God damn it.
Yeah, so now we somewhat ended up killing the Nemesis. Notice how I said someone? Yeah, we did not fully kill this dude. He ends up waking up after we killed him.
I'm taking my Gator, but hold on. Alright, so we obviously know it doesn't do any damage to him.
Yeah, so notice how she just got stabbed. That is actually a parasite from the Nemesis that actually ends up infecting her, and she starts seizing out. And of course, E. coli is here, because why is he not? A half a day later, our boy Carlos ends up coming up and saving us, and he actually ends up taking us to the same hospital where Dr. Bard is at. So now we are on the look to find Dr. Bard, but we actually end up finding this door that needs his voice to enter it. Then we find another locked door that we need to find a key for, that we actually end up finding in this courtyard right here, that we end up picking it up and then going back to the door, and then inside of that door there was a key card that we needed to open this door. And behind that door was the room that had the tape of Dr. Bard's voice on it. But inside of that room there were two of these monsters. Now I will not lie, I completely forgot the name of these monsters, but just know they are very hard to kill without ammo. But I actually only end up having to kill one with just a hand grenade. The other one I was just able to simply walk up behind and get the tape. So now that we've made our way to the door, we use the tape that has Dr. Bard's voice on it. We use it to open the door. But once we enter the room, we end up finding out that Dr. Bard was shot and killed.
Bard. Tyrell. Bard's dead. He's been shot.
Shit, and the vaccine?
I'm looking.
Well, look harder. There's gotta be a computer, right?
And our boy Tyrell was indeed right. There was a computer that had a video on it.
This is VRC Chief Nathaniel Bard, September 29, 11 p.m. I am acutely aware that my time's running out. And I hope and pray, by making this recording and bringing the truth to light, that I can restore some small shred of honor to my name. All of Raccoon City's suffering began with the release of a biological weapon known as the T-virus. My employer, the Umbrella Corporation, engineered this virus, and they ordered my team to develop a vaccine, which we did. Now, I keep samples of this vaccine here in my office. The rest of it is stored underground. But those sons of bitches at the board, they want to destroy it. They don't want the world to know what they've done. So they're trying to erase all evidence that the virus ever existed. Now, I'm not a fool. I know they don't want me to...
So after our Carlos crash out, the door behind us opens and we end up grabbing the vaccine for Jill. So we end up making our way back to Jill. We end up giving her the vaccine. Our boy Tyrell ends up busting through the door, and we end up finding out that the government is going to be nuking Raccoon City.
Attention all citizens. The contagion spreading throughout the city has been designated uncontainable. On October 1st, Raccoon City will be completely destroyed in a missile strike. All residents capable of rational thought are urged to evacuate immediately. This is not a test.
So then we end up finding out that there's zombies outside of the building right now. We have to end up defending them so we can keep Jill safe and also keep Tyrell safe.
Oh, come on.
Yo, I get area, bro.
But they end up just breaking through the building regardless. So then we have to end up blowing up this pillar to just kill all of them. But we have to survive for 30 seconds. How did none of my bullets hit that nigga? The bomb goes off. So then our boy Carlos decides to leave and stall time for Tyro to call the government to have him negotiate. But then our girl Jill ends up waking up, but she didn't really wake up. She actually ends up having one of those dreams that she had during the beginning of the game. The person that was actually messed up was our boy Carlos.
It's over now. The city's safe. Joe. It's the only way.
But thank God this was only one of her episodes. She does eventually end up waking up, and then she actually ends up finding out that the government is going to end up bombing Raccoon City.
Attention all citizens. The missile strike on Raccoon City will occur in just hours. The payload is designed to eradicate all biological material. You will not survive if you remain in the city.
October 1st.
Evacuate now. Repeat.
No.
Evacuate now.
Can't be.
This is not a test.
So Jill ends up leaving her messages in to go talk to our boy Tyrell.
You saved my life.
I sure as shit didn't. That was all Carlos. He carried you here and he cheated you himself. Crazy bastard.
Where is he?
He went underground. Bard stockpiled the vaccine, enough to give the city some hope.
He thinks he can do this by himself. I'm going after him.
Wait, did you see the broadcast? They're gonna blow the city sky high. I'm trying to get a hold of someone, anyone with the clearance to stop it. Leave this mess to him. He's a professional.
So
So
am
am
I.
I.
So now we have to head underground to go find our boy and also our lover, Carlos. So we make our way underground and we attempt to take this elevator to go up to where Nikolai is, but then the fuses just end up completely combusting. So now we have to go around and find 3 fuses to replace the ones that got blown up. So now that we've gotten the 3 fuses, we put them back into the box and we end up heading upstairs to find out that Nikolai completely disappeared. So we end up meeting back up with our boy Tyrell, and he ends up informing us that the government is willing to negotiate if we end up getting the vaccine. So we leave the room and we end up running into the Nemesis once again. And unfortunately, Tyrell does end up getting killed. So we end up finding the room that takes the vaccine, but we have to actually make the vaccine ourselves. So we get the first container that we need to make the vaccine, and then we go to this room to get the second container to fully make the vaccine. So then we combine those two to make the solution that we need for the vaccine, and then we head back to the room and we put the vaccine inside of this machine. We do this quick little puzzle, and then we end up running into the Nemesis once again. So then we make our way through this vent, but of course we run into the Nemesis once again after getting thrown out of his grasp, and then we end up shooting this explosive container that blows him up and freezes from his grip. So then we make our way to this area, and then we end up running into Nikolai once again. You're gonna get smart as hell though. Ah, goddamn.
Oh, what do we have here?
Nikolai, don't! The city needs that vaccine!
More than I do. I don't think the wisdom I've been trying to impart on you is getting through. Now I know you can't put a price on life. But I'm in this business to get paid. So let's make a deal. You go down there, battle the Nemesis, and I'll recall it all and sell the combat dog. Put on a good show, and maybe I don't need the vaccine. Agreed? Good.
Ah! Ah!
So then we have our second to last battle with the Nemesis, but the thing was with this battle, this was quite literally just the courtyard battle, except he literally just had a tentacle and that was pretty much about it. So after we beat all 3 stages of the Nemesis, our boy Carlos ends up getting a crane to help us climb up. So now we're on our way to go find Nikolai. So now that we've found Nikolai, he ends up trying to persuade us to help him do what he's doing.
Give me the vaccine, you greedy son of a bitch.
No. You bring money. I like money. We shall make ours an ongoing arrangement. Now drop the gun!
So then this is where we run into the final form of the Nemesis, known as the Nemesis Metamorphosis form. And now this is also the last and final boss battle of the entire game, which is also one of the easiest that I've actually ever done, but it is pretty time consuming. Now all you have to do in this boss battle is just literally use this railgun 2 times.
Damn, it needs power.
After finding out that the power supply ends up failing on us, we have to pop these bubbles on him. I have no idea what these are, by the way, but we just have to pop these, and after we pop these, he ends up falling down. Then we have a chance to fix the power supply. So after finally killing off the Nemesis, we go to find Nikolai, but then we end up finding out that Carlos got knocked out or something like that, and then we finally run into Nikolai. Damn.
You're not going to stop. Promised you this, didn't I?
No! Do you have any idea what you've just done?
No. Don't care. My client ordered me to reduce Umbrella to rubble.
10 minutes until missile impact.
The missile has launched. And that is my cue. Goodbye, Miss Valentine. Shame you didn't listen to me when you had the chance.
It's you! Shoot him!
I can't! I'll hit you!
Do it! You have to! There's no other way.
Carlos!
Hey, I told you I couldn't leave you in a Carlos's world. That would just be too cruel. What about him?
Why'd you do it?
There's a price tag for everything. Even letting the world burn.
Who are you working for?
I'll tell you, if you get me out of here. I'll pay you whatever you want. You're a fool. You're a fool! If I die, you'll never find out the truth.
I don't mind a little detective work.
So after leaving Nikolai in the dusk, we see Raccoon City unfortunately get nuked. But we know that's not the end of Raccoon City if you've played Requiem. But yeah, I actually ended up dying 14 times. We got B rank. If I would have died a little less, I probably would have gotten A ranked. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Alright, so it's been another month. I apologize. I'm not even gonna lie. I sincerely really do apologize for not uploading for a whole ass month once again. I don't know what it is with me and not being able to upload consistently. But we're gonna attempt to fix that, really. Yeah, but I do actually apologize for taking another month off. I did kind of take I really only took like a week, damn. I really only took like a week break mentally, but I just didn't really want to play Apex. And I don't think I'm gonna be uploading any Apex content on this channel for a while now. Unless, you know, I do get like good gameplay, but then you guys might, you know, get an Apex video out of me, but we might stick to the channel. The video is actually supposed to come out on Thursday, but it is now Saturday. 7th. I was gonna play Thursday, but I got and then I just spent the whole day by myself playing basketball because I have an actual life. I'm not a bum. But yeah, I really do sincerely apologize for not playing. I'm going to really try hard to be consistent, and if I'm not, you guys can smack the shit out of me for all I care. But I hope you guys enjoyed this YouTube video. Peace out. I love you guys.